We'll spend too much time on it, but let's go back to the last fight. Sure, it had to be a frustrating night for you. I mean, just never really getting a chance to get going. How do you kind of reconcile that moving forward and kind of put that one behind you?
Well, for me, it was a real bitter pill to swallow. I've lost fights before, don't get me wrong, but I've never been in a fight where I actually didn't get to do anything. I didn't show it when I was fighting, but the first thing he threw to me was a front kick. It winded me really, really badly. I was so hurt, and I tried to give a poker face and not let him know. But then with doing so, I was going backwards. I was being very defensive. Everyone knows, see me fight, I'm a very aggressive fighter, I'm come forward. But I was hurt, so I couldn't do that. I had to go back. With doing so, made him come forward, and he got more aggressive. And then I started just to recover, and then I got hit by a spinning back elbow, dropped again. Then I'm like, oh my God, I had to try and survive that, which I nearly did. I got out the armbar, but I flew straight into a triangle, and then it was on too tight. I was in, it's checkmate, I tapped, and I just looked at, I was just like, it sucks, and it's just like, yeah, holy cow. It was a real hard pill for me to swallow, and then basically a week after or so, 2 weeks I think, Shelby gave me a call, and I was speaking to Shelby. I was just kind of like, in a way, getting my violin out, saying, it didn't go my way, and basically also, I think the whole training camp I had leading to that fight was a very bad one, the worst training camp I've ever had. I was not injury-wise, I did get injured during it, that's why the fight got brought back, but it's just trying to solve the southpaw conundrum. I never got around to it. The last couple of weeks of my camp I started doing a bit better, but I didn't realise how much a difference fighting a southpaw was, because throughout my career, I've only ever fought one at southpaw before, and that was Vaughan Lee, and I didn't know it was a southpaw until after the fight. So I've never really had to train with southpaws, and I remember always in the gym when I've ever trained with a southpaw when I'm not in camp just to train, I hated it, I never liked it, but every time I've had a fight, I've always fought someone who's orthodox, so I've never had to fight, train with a southpaw. So yeah, I mean, that was all that, and then obviously speaking to Shelby, and I was explaining to him how it was just horrible, and he said, hey look, how do you feel about fighting Urijah Faber in Sacramento? And I was like, sure. I said, let me speak to my coaches, like Brownie and Paulie and Mickey and stuff, but yeah, it sounds great to me, and it was awesome, because for one, I get to redeem myself, because that last fight for me wasn't me. So I get the chance just to put that behind me and just get on with my life. And two, I didn't ever have to get in shape. I was in shape. It was straight after a fight camp, which a fight didn't last that long, so I felt great. So this whole camp, I've actually felt awesome through the whole camp. I was in great shape. So this is the case of maintaining rather than, I need to get myself in shape again, So it was actually a real fun camp, this one. Throughout my career, I've always been, I've been a hometown favourite a lot of times. I'll be honest, wherever I travelled, I always seemed to quite get a good reception from the fans anyway. I'm a very humble, respectful guy, and I don't really get a lot of jip from the fans. So I don't mind being a villain for once, I remember being in Sacramento has always been a good town for me. I've fought here once before against Demetrius Johnson, won that fight. I've been here twice for Mike Brown. Once when he beat Urijah Faber himself, and two when he, I think he fought something Morrison, I can't remember the guy's name. But it's been a good town for us, And I remember going out to Mike Brown's fight when he was defending his title against Urijah Faber, and his response going out was, it was just dreadful.
It's one of the loudest boos I've ever heard in my life.
And for me, Mike Brown, everyone knows Mike Brown, he's such a respectful, yet again, nice guy, and we're both cut from the same sort of cloth, and for me, I got really angry. I'm like, how could you be that disrespectful to Mike Brown? One, he's the champion. Two, he's a nice guy, and I got really angry and emotional myself going out to Mike Brown's fight, and I wanted to fight there and then. So in a way, I'm like, bring it on, give me that response going out, get me fired up, make me try and knock off your hometown guy's head. I'll try and put it on Rose's head, I like that sometimes. It takes me a lot. I never really lose my temper or get angry. You know, even when I'm fighting, I'm a very professional guy. But sometimes part of me is like, I wouldn't mind having that kind of thing. You know, like I think I could bring out the best in me. You know, I remember once years ago in a boxing fight, fighting a hometown guy who had 500 people watching him fight, and it jeered me on because every time I hit him, he went silent. And when he barely hit me, he got a massive cheer. And I remember getting so pumped up, and I knocked him out in the corner. He went down, and I was begging him to get back up and screaming at him to get back up. And he tried to get back up, and he fell back down again, and I won the fight. But it G'd me up a lot, so I'm hoping I get some sort of hostile response. You know, I don't mind being the villain. You know, I think he's been a true pioneer for the lower weight classes. You know, really help in the brand grow the WC onto the UFC. He's a massive name in Sacramento and in the sport in general. It's not for me to say why he's retiring and stuff like that, but he has so much going on outside of fighting for him. Fighting's not his job. He has other jobs. He don't just rely on fighting money to pay the bills. He has if everyone knows Urijah, he's a very good entrepreneur, and he has a lot of things going on. You know, he's used his fame very well throughout his career to help build himself, you know, with certain brands and his gym and Alpha Male and stuff. So he's got no trouble, you know. So he doesn't have to fight unless he don't want to. So I can see if he doesn't feel like he's gonna get that belt, you know, which I think that's been his whole focus, you know, being a WC champion, trying to be a UFC champion without getting that, but you know, kind of I think that's been shut now. The last couple of losses and stuff. He can't see it getting it, so he's probably lost a bit of his hunger. So, yeah, I mean, I'm not going to ever question a man why retire. Everyone always asks me about myself, and it's sometimes a very personal thing. People fight for different reasons. So obviously he doesn't need to fight anymore. So I respect his decision to retire. All the eyes are on him. All the pressure's on him. It's in his hometown. Like I said, I've been there before. It's in his hometown. His phone's blowing up every 2 minutes. Hey, I can't believe you're retiring. Hi, mate, this, that. Can we get an interview for that? Interview for this? You know, can I get some tickets to your fight? This, that. You know, everything. You know, and there's just me, flying in from another country. No eyes on me. Hardly any interviews. It's, you know, it's all about him. His retirement. So I could just throughout my camp, I was able just to concentrate on my camp, concentrate on training, getting better, and preparing for him. Where he's preparing for his retirement, preparing for this business, that business. He's got a lot of focus on a lot of different areas, when my focus has solely been on him. Obviously, I have to keep an eye out for myself to what's next, and I kind of like to do what he's done, where he's retiring in his hometown. I would like to do that, get a good sending off, and I do know that UFC are going back to London in March. That could be a possibility. I need to speak to people, but I don't like to plan too much when I have such a big thing in front of me, like as in this Saturday. So I need to focus on that, but yeah, I've been thinking about a lot of things, you know. Well, I visualize it a few different ways, you know. Like obviously, he's a very well-rounded, experienced veteran. He hasn't been put away many times. Obviously, Brown put him away with a TKO, and Brownie's put him away with TKO. He's been TKO'd a couple times. Don't believe he's ever been subbed. You know, he's a tough opponent. You know, but I mean, like, people know me. They know I throw hard. You know, and like, man, and you never knows this sport, how crazy this sport is. You know, I just need to land one of my shots, and then he's going to go to sleep. I'll guarantee that, you know. But that's for me now. Is to focus on landing some of my shots. And don't get me wrong, don't sleep on my ground game. You know, I do have very good submissions as well. I just don't really have the opportunity to show it too much. Some of my best submissions I've never hit in a fight. I hit everyone in the gym. Never hit in one fight. You know, so people still don't know about them yet. You know, so I won't sleep on my ground game either. But even so, obviously, typical Brad Pickett, I'm going to go in there for the first bell and try and finish him from the first bell to the last bell. If I finish him, great. If I don't finish him, it wouldn't be for the want of trying, so it would be an exciting fight.